We're ready.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
All right. This is the meeting for the Mobile City Planning Commission for Thursday, January 21st, 2021. General procedures for this remote meeting are as follows. I will announce an application for items where no one from the public is attending via Zoom. Staff will give an overview, including any comments received from the public. If a member of the public will attend the meeting, staff will announce their attendance and admit them at this time. Once the parties have joined the meeting, if needed, I will state the commission's rules regarding the number of speakers as well as speaking time. Each application is limited to a maximum of 4 speakers in support and 4 people in opposition, limited to 5 minutes each. I will then announce the beginning of the public hearing. The applicant will present their case and up to 3 additional speakers if applicable. For each speaker, at the end of their presentation, I will ask if there are any questions from any commission members. Once the commission concludes their questions of the speakers in support of an application, I will then call for interested parties to speak. At the end of each speaker's presentation, I will again ask if there are any questions from the commission. The applicant will be given an opportunity to rebut in accordance with commission rules, 2 minutes. After the rebuttal, I will declare the public hearing closed and the commission will go into deliberation session. After the commission has rendered a decision, the applicant and concerned parties will leave the meeting or will be sent back to the waiting room by staff where they can disconnect. I will then call the next agenda item. Commission members and staff, please remember to keep your microphone on mute unless you are speaking to the meeting attendees. Roll call, myself, Alan Cameron.
Here.
Clark Blackwell,
Present.
Don Hembry,
Here.
Libby Latham,
Here.
Jennifer Denson,
Here.
Don Stroke. Sorry, you didn't count. Do you have anybody else?
Jay Stubbs.
Jay Stubbs.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum. We have the agenda before us. Is there a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
I move to approve.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of adoption of the agenda?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is adopted. We'll begin with item number 1, group applications. Pintail Place subdivision replat, which was a holdover. The subdivision, the PUD are both recommended for approval, with the sidewalk waiver recommended for denial. The applicant present to be admitted.
Yes, sir. I have admitted Jared Land into the meeting.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you. For a review of your application for Pintail Place subdivision, is there any discussion or added description that you would like to present to us? Have you seen the staff comments and recommendations?
Hey, sorry. Yes, I have.
Okay. Any questions or comments concerning them?
I did have a couple of questions. As far as there's a comment about putting a 6-foot high privacy fence on the west property line due to the butting up against single family residential property. I looked looked at the land use, and I believe that's light industrial over there, by Mobile County. Is that correct?
Margaret?
It's zoned R1. If you look at the map up on the screen, the site outlined here is zoned B3. It's undeveloped, but it's still zoned residentially to the west.
Okay. If it's, I guess my question is, if it's owned by the county and it's full of wetlands, we almost consider that a 1,400-foot buffer between us and the residents to the west.
Well, the buffer option, this is Bert Hoffman. You have two options: a 6-foot high wooden privacy fence, or a 10-foot wide vegetative buffer that is at least 6 feet tall and primarily of evergreen vegetation.
Okay. Even though technically nobody can ever develop there.
Well, you can't really say that no one can ever develop it. It is unlikely, but I don't know that you can say that it would never be developed. And let me look at I'm going to check something else here.
Okay, because right now we have an easement going through our property that we've given to Mobile County to get to that property.
But isn't that right of way also going to be vacated?
The one on the north end, yes, sir.
Okay. Well,
But not where they access through our property.
well, there's always a possibility that the county would sell the property.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if that's what we have to do, I would like some kind of consideration, seeing that there's almost 1,400 feet from us to the neighborhood over there to the west.
It appears you have a fair amount, and the aerial's not completely accurate, but it does appear that for about half of the length along the west side, that you have a pretty significant buffer there. Are there any proposals to, based on the site plan, it didn't look like you were going to encroach into that area? What's the dimension from your detention pond to the property line?
It is, we tried to keep it off the property line just so we could keep those trees there. But it's about 25 feet or so from our pond to the fence line. There's a existing chain link fence there. So we tried to keep our pond off of that line just so we could save the trees that are there.
Well, and if the buffer is at least 10 feet in depth, which you're setting back, you said 20 feet or more, there may be a fair amount of area where adequate buffering's being provided.
Okay.
Can we waive this until somebody makes a proposal to develop the property in the back?
To waive the buffer requirements would really be under the purview of the Board of Adjustment, because the zoning ordinance requires the buffer adjacent to residentially zoned or utilized property.
Margaret, do we have the opportunity to give them time to explore the expense of putting a little more vegetation in between the detention pond and the property line, as opposed to having to put in a 6-foot high wooden fence? I mean, can we leave it written as an either or?
What you could do is do provision of a buffer in compliance with the zoning ordinance, which they have the option of the fence or the vegetation, or to obtain a variance from the Board of Zoning Adjustment. And the commission's done that in the past, willing to look at some flexibility. Yes, we understand it's R1, it's undeveloped due to the wetlands. The likelihood of development is slim. But the city and even the county have been selling properties, so you just can't make a blanket statement that it won't not be
And there is
developed.
a little bit of uplands right along, of not wetlands, along the part where
It adjoins,
not buffered. So
correct.
unfortunately, the buffering is on the wrong end as far as using the wetlands argument. I just don't know which one would be more cost prohibitive, I guess is what, I mean, it may be more cost effective to plant a buffer than to erect a 1,400 foot or ever how long that is. wooden
Well,
fence.
the fence, they have the option. So if the buffer here is of adequate density, they would have to pick up with the privacy fence or additional vegetation from this point
So more
south.
like 700 feet. or something
Correct.
like that. Okay.
Number seven shows, either, I mean, it says either or, it's not, you don't have to have the fence and the buffer, the vegetative buffer, it says or. So if
Right.
you've already got a large section of vegetative buffer there, if that's gonna stay, then it looks like probably the most cost-effective thing for them would be to just come in and extend that vegetative buffer on down to the south line. And then not have to do the privacy fence.
Unless they decide they want to go to the Board of Adjustments and get a variance.
And not have to do anything.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's really their only option, is for us to require it and then them go apply for a variance and hope they get it.
And I would ask that you put that option in there, or the obtaining of the variance from the Board of Zoning Adjustment, simply because PUD approval, site plan specific, and if you don't put that in there, 2 years from now, there could be some question on whether it should be allowed without the fence. or
Okay.
buffer.
Margaret, since this is a PUD, can we not waive it under the PUD?
That's what I was thinking.
I know
You're the-
we do some building setbacks.
You're the attorney. Can we do
I
that?
like that answer.
It seems as though we've waived these type of things in the past, but I mean, I don't, if it's a technicality that it needs to go before the Board of Adjustments, then that, we can easily do that as well, but.
I think under the purview of a PUD, we have the right to waive this.
I don't disagree. The one thing I would say, perspective, while this is a situation where it could seem justified, because it is joining wetlands that are undeveloped and owned by local government, I wouldn't want the commission to get put into this situation frequently. So what I would suggest is, at such time as the adjoining property to the west is developed residentially, a buffer will be provided at that time. That way, the commission has waived it for now. But if something were to happen with that adjoining property in the future, the buffer would be provided at that time.
That sounds good.
Can I ask the applicant a question? I didn't catch
Yes.
the applicant's name.
This is Jared Landry with SE Civil.
Okay, Jared. Looking at your aerial, I mean, what we're seeing on that northwest line, there's already a section of trees coming down about halfway down. Am I looking at that correctly?
Correct, and those will be left alone.
Is that 10 feet wide and 6 feet tall?
Well, a lot of those are big water oaks, magnolias. I mean, I'm not a landscape expert, so I don't know if I would consider those evergreen vegetative buffer as in your ordinance, but yeah, they're definitely 6 feet high, but it's got a 10 feet wide.
Is the footprint, the width of that vegetative area is at least 10 feet?
Correct.
So would you be opposed to just leaving things like they are on this application and just extending your vegetative buffer on down to that south line, right there where your retaining pond's going to be?
As far as going all the way down to the south property?
Right, that would be about half the distance. So it shouldn't take too much planting there to get that to where it needs to be. And then you don't have to worry about going before the board or doing anything else. That's not asking that much, it doesn't seem like. But I understand not wanting to spend all the money on a fence because that gets pretty expensive. But the vegetative buffer, carrying that on down, extending what you've got, seems to be just from a developer standpoint, seems to be the easiest thing to do.
I think probably the most cost effective would be the language Margaret advised, that we put it in there that at such time as that property is developed, this landowner will at that point in time address the issue of the buffer. So they would literally have to do nothing now. Because
I'm in agreement with that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I just know how having future requirements sometimes don't always get carried through with.
You're right.
Look, this is Doug. I looked at the city map, and it definitely looks like the buffer that is in existence on the top parcel is certainly 10 feet in width. So it would comply as it is. As far as that part of it, but like Leva said, the bottom part is bare.
I think the best thing would be just to leave the conditions like they are, like staff had recommended, and just let him do his 10-foot vegetative buffer straight on down to that southwest corner. And I think that's an easy ask, not asking that much.
Yeah, let me bring this up. On that southwest corner, well, where our pond discharges, there's a little spillway there. So from our pond to that spillway I almost consider that a buffer, and that's 50, 60 feet wide right there. So what I'm getting at is if they ever do come and put residential there, they won't be right on the property line because obviously they can't encroach that spillway.
The idea is to create a visual obstruction just so that, so you don't see through there. So.
Okay.
Would you be okay with just leaving the conditions as they are and just coming in and adding that vegetative buffer?
I think so. I can't speak on what the owner would say, but yeah, I think that's reasonable if that's what we need to do.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
I don't think so.
All right, somebody make a motion.
On the subdivision?
I'm sorry, there might be, I don't mean to be sticking my mouth, and I didn't know if we're ready for a motion. I don't know if there's anybody in opposition.
Okay. That being said, we'll take it as three parts. The subdivision first. Is there a motion for the subdivision?
Move to approve based on staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Pass Part B, the PUD. Is there a motion with finding of facts?
Move to approve based on staff recommendations, findings of facts, A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Carlos, can we have some discussion on that?
Yes.
Don, do you think it would be appropriate to add, or they can go to the Board of Adjustments to get a variance in there, or not give them that option?
Well, I say we just, I
They
mean,
They have that legal right
They
already.
do, without stating it.
We don't have to place that condition there. They have the legal right.
Perfect, thank you. Then I'll second your motion. It's already been seconded.
Properly moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passed. Part C, sidewalk waiver. Staff recommends denial of the request. Is there a motion?
move to deny the sidewalk waiver.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any further discussion? All in favor of denial of the waiver?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving to item number 2, Springdale Mall Shopping Center, subdivision and PUD. Both recommended for tentative approval. Margaret, is there a?
Yes, sir. I have admitted Brett Milkey into, and I apologize if I messed up your name. Okay, you need to stop the live stream, please, sir. He's in the meeting and he is or the applicant, and he is the only one signed up to speak.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brett Milkey with Bricksmore Property Group, representing the ownership of Springdale Mall. I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration in our application. This is really just a follow-up to our PUD amendment that we took care of last summer to adjust some ambiguity in the lot lines that we since uncovered, and doesn't really look to make any additional site plan changes to the project as we've submitted to date. So we've reviewed the staff report and accept the conditions as outlined, and I'm just here to answer any questions you may have.
So you're agreeable to all the conditions on the application?
We are.
Okay.
Are there any additional questions or comments from commissioners? Does the owner have any additional questions or comments?
We do not.
And there being none, we'll take this in. We'll take it in 2 parts. Part A, subdivision. Is there a motion?
Move to approve based on staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passed. Item B, the PUD. Is there a motion with finding of facts?
Move to approve based on staff recommendations, findings of facts, A, B, C, and D.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to item number 3, 4612 Spring Hill Avenue, Carondelet subdivision, parts A, subdivision PUD. Both recommended for tentative approval. The applicant admitted.
Yes, I've admitted Thornton Ratliff into the meeting.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Welcome to our meeting. We're in review of your application. Is there, it's recommended for tentative approval. Have you seen the staff reports?
Yes, sir, I have.
All right, do you have any questions or comments concerning them?
No, sir.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners concerning this application? Hearing none. Then I will take this again in 2 parts. Part A, subdivision, recommended for tentative approval. Is there a motion?
Move to approve based on staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passed. Item B, PUD. Is there a motion with findings of fact?
Move to approve based on staff recommendations, findings of facts A, B, and C.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passed. Thank you, sir.
At all?
And that concludes our last agenda item. Is there any other business to come before us?
Nothing urgent. I just did want to remind the commission that your next scheduled meeting is on Wednesday, February 3rd. And then, of course, we'll have the UDC public hearing on the 25th of next month.
All right, thank you.
Margaret,
Yes.
real quick, make sure you send us out a reminder to the February 3rd meeting because we will all forget.
Okay, I will do that. I'll try and do that a week ahead of time.
All right. Thank you very much.